Hello guys and gals, and welcome. So today I wanted to do a review of Sons of the Forest with you guys, and I thought no better way to start the review of the Sons of the Forest than a baby attack. That's right, a baby attack. So I'm going to take you straight into the mayhem that is Sons of the Forest, and I want you to see just the absolute silliness and, well, creepiness that this game has to offer. These are demons. They're some sort of demon babies, and I don't know, like, you first encounter these things in the caves, and they're just absolutely nasty, and they literally run around and jump and attack you and try and bite you and do, like, ninja kick flips off the walls, and this is just one of the creepy and just absolutely just nasty monsters that you will encounter as you play through the game. Some of them being conjoined twins. One of them kind of reminds me of a cat dog, like a person on one side and a lady on the other, and they're just like conjoined into one person with no legs. And that is just the beginning of the absolute silliness that goes on in this game. There are cannibals everywhere. There are demons that are trying to kill you. The cannibals come and attack your base on a regular basis, and you do need to set up defenses to protect yourself. And speaking of bases, we have a very beautiful one right here that I've created. Now, you might be asking, why the hell is it so tall? Well, they recently introduced this in the newest patch, which is the frickin' glider, which is absolutely amazing. And you know what? Let's go for a quick glide, because how else can I show you the beautiful and wonderful world that is this game, you know, without taking you on a little glide around the map? So the glider is this amazing new little device that they've given us, and it basically allows you to jump from a high surface like this, obviously. And once you have jumped, you are now in the world of the gliding. And there are all sorts of amazing things in this game, like obviously, you can see we have rivers, trees all over the place. There is a mountain. You can actually go to this mountain, and you can have some fun there. There are camps that basically are left over from soldiers and things like that apparently were sent to the island. In fact, as far as I know, you are also one of the soldiers that was sent to the island, most likely to rescue the Puftons. As you can see, there's one of the camps down there, and there usually are some nice goodies at those camps. As you can see, I do have a rig set up with a nice little zip line there. And the zip line is a very fun tool that you can play with in the game as well. As you can see here, we have a nice little coastline. There are sharks in the water, if you're wondering. And I have not had one attack me yet, but I also have not given them the opportunity to attack me. Like, I haven't just, like, sat in the water and been like, here, baby, here, peppy. There are also cannibal camps all over the place. This is a cannibal camp. In this cannibal camp, sometimes you will also find demons, which is definitely not fun. It looks like it is currently filled with demons at this particular moment, which I'd actually like to show you the demons. So let's do a low-buy passover. And let me see if I can give you a better sight of some of these two-headed monstrosities, as you can see. Not exactly the nicest creatures in the world. You're going to have to fight those guys on a regular basis, by the way. On top of the amazing building system, crafting system, survival system, horror aspects, and story, they also have a 3D printing system as well, which is pretty cool. And as you can see, my glider goes for a really long way. So what we're going to talk about when we get back here is the building system. We're going to go over that first. And the reason why we're going to go over the building system is because it's just so freaking cool. Not only can you build pretty much whatever you want to, but there are also some pre-designed recipes sort of in the system. So let's go over the book. I think that's the easiest thing to do first. So we're going to expedite our journey here by pointing our glider downward, which is going to get us some speed at the cost of our momentum, or our height, essentially. And as you can see, I'm going to bring my glider back up here so I have it ready for the next voyage. Absolutely love this glider, by the way. I wish it landed more gracefully, though. So the one thing about the building system that I absolutely love is, number one, it's very basic. So you have this guidebook, and if you pull out your guidebook, in the guidebook are just tons and tons of recipes that you can create. And at any point, you can always pull out one of these recipes, and you can just plop it down and, you know, maybe or maybe not build it. Like, for instance, there's a log cabin in here. It's not exactly the most amazing thing in the world, but you can go ahead and put it down, and you can start building it. Now, the really cool thing is that instead of using these basic recipes that you get from the guidebook, which some of them are honestly really good, like the holders are probably among some of the best ones, like the stick storage, the rock storage, log storage, and bone storage. You're going to be making those all the time. I think I hear another baby trying to eat me. Hold on. It's just a never-ending thing in this game, and I wanted it to be realistic to this because, like, you're constantly under attack by all sorts of monsters. Like, it's never-ending. You know, they're all over the frickin' place, and I don't know where this little baby is, but there he is. There's the little baby. You can't get your arrows back, by the way, which I absolutely love in video games. So they don't usually come one by one, but maybe that one was left over from the previous batch of babies that came and attacked me. I've been attacked by multiple babies. So not only do we have recipes in here that are pre-designed, but there are also an entire slew of recipes that are what are called generic recipes, things that you can just kind of work with. Most notably is the building system, which is floors, walls, all sorts of things like doors. All of this is just rather generic in the way that you can build things. And what you do with this kind of stuff is you're literally just putting a building together. Like, it legit just putting it together step by step. And you can choose whether you want the beams to go, you know, in an upright position. You can choose whether they want to go in a flat position. You can even just simply take beams from any spot that you've already put beams, of course, as long as it's not load-bearing. If it's load-bearing, they won't let you. But you can obviously take that off. You can even split the logs in your hand, which is absolutely amazing. And you can build things like ramps, stairs, towers, as you can see I'm building right now. And this building system doesn't seem to have any kind of end to it. It's actually really freaking cool. Not only does it have a support system involved, there's also ways that you can build supports even better. In fact, one of the things I was planning to do today was I was planning to try and learn how to do this newfangled thing that somebody was talking about in chat the other day, which is apparently building what's called a strut or a half strut or something. So when you put a log on the ground, you can choose to split it in various ways. I can split it down the center, as you can see by the red line that appears, or I can split it in half, like this. Now, I can't remember if it's a half log or a quarter log that I need. Let's try the quarter log first. And from what I understand, you can put quarter logs on the inner side, or is it half logs? Specifically for the support, or like the structural support of something. And what is it? It's not, it must not be quarter logs. Let's try the half logs and see if that works. All right, so we have a half log. So that usually means lifting something, which I'm not really sure that's the right idea, but let's give it a try anyway and see what happens. Oh yeah, so that's the support structure. So those act as supports. Mr. Kevin over here is one of my companions. Now, building can be very tedious. Let's be perfectly honest. It can be very tedious. So one of the things that you can do with your companion Kevin is you can tell him to fill the holders, which is one of the things that he's best at. So like, for instance, I can say get logs and fill holder. And he will go on a never-ending quest to fill the holders one way or another, which is absolutely great. As you can see, I have a holder here. I have 2 holders right here, and they're starting to fill up with logs, which is great. And we take these logs and we use them in the building system. Now, the building system is honestly something that I have not fully explored. There is techniques and ways that you can build things that even I don't know about yet, and I am excited to learn. But I can see the potential in it, which is amazing. The next thing I want to go over is the crafting system. So when you open up your inventory, you have access to a wide variety of crafting recipes, and you don't always know what those crafting recipes are. So it's kind of a little unintuitive at first, but as you start to get the hang of it and you realize that this little gear right here is your best friend in terms of, crafting recipes and telling you what you need, what you do is you just simply grab an item, like for instance duct tape, and now here it will show you all 3 recipes that you can make with this duct tape. Put the duct tape back and the recipes are gone. Put a watch up there and now all of a sudden you can see what recipes you could potentially make with a watch. Now the problem here is that it's not enough items. So let's throw a wire up and now we have tech armor. So let's make ourselves some tech armor. So we're going to grab our tech mesh, which is down here. Let's go ahead and grab all our tech mesh. We need duct tape. We need wire. We need circuit boards, and we need batteries. And just like that, now we've got ourselves some tech armor. And there are all sorts of really cool things that you can make with this system. Everything from literally bombs, like time bombs. You could make yourself very interesting like energy mixes and things with flowers. You can also craft yourself spears. Crafted spears are pretty nice. You can make yourself zip line ropes, Molotov cocktails. I mean, there's just a very nice number of things that you can create with the crafting system, including arrows. You can make yourself arrows. And there's also a 3D printer system in the game. So the 3D printer system is also pretty neat, and there are some very specific recipes that you can make in the 3D printer that are definitely going to be useful, like the 3D printed arrows, the 3D printed sled, which is pretty darn cool. We also have 3D printed masks, and on top of that, we have 3D printed grappling hooks. Now, looking at my inventory, I have pretty much everything now. I've beaten the game, and so I literally do have just about everything that you can possibly have for your character. There is also a wide variety of clothing that you can find throughout the game that have varying usefulnesses, and even bones and skulls can be utilized to your advantage. I still haven't quite figured out what to do with the turtle shell yet, but I'm hoping to figure it out eventually. Now, the crafting system itself, although it is really cool, is accompanied by the survival system. So the survival system includes, number 1, your water. So you constantly need to be drinking water and staying hydrated. Number 2, your food. You constantly need to stay fed. And certain items will actually dehydrate you if you're not careful. Like, for instance, if you eat the dry ramen noodles. The dry ramen noodles will, of course, fill your tummy, but they also dry you out. As you can see, my hydration went down considerably after chowing down on these ramen noodles. And of course, I can always slurp up if you've got some water nearby. So it's always important, I think, in my opinion, to eat the ramen noodles first if you're going to eat them, and then drink afterward to replenish. Don't drink first and then eat the ramen noodles. And then we also have sleep. So sleep is something that has to be governed as well. And although there are a lot of items in the game, like energy bars and energy drinks and even energy mixes that you can make, which will help keep that bar full, it will eventually hit the bottom. And you're going to have to go to bed. Now, when you sleep in this game, it's going to take you to nighttime. And nighttime is not always the friendliest thing. As you can see, it is extremely dark out here. And even with a flashlight or even with a torch or a light of some kind, it still tends to be really freaking dark. And as you can see, there's my house there with its lamps. And I probably do need to make some, some torches and stuff and put them around my property. Would probably be nice. But it's also important to note that during the nighttime, you tend to get attacked more. So you end up with a lot of cannibals and demons and things at your doorstep, which is certainly not what you would want. Um, and as you see, we got the nice sunrise coming up. Quite beautiful, in fact. Hmm. And that brings me to the horror aspects of the game. This game is a survival game, but it is also a horror game in many ways. During the nighttime, when you're running around and the monsters are all over the place and the freaking cannibals are trying to eat you, and you just can't find a safe place to stay anywhere, you're definitely going to feel the horror aspects of the game. And also, when you go into the cave systems, so my base is actually right outside of a cave. This is one that I beat early on, and the caves are also very creepy and very scary and full of demons. They are often very spookily lit. They do have some lights in them, but for the most part, they are unfortunately just spooktastic. They usually provide you with a lot of flares, which you can use to, hopefully light your way, but it doesn't always help. In fact, it's usually so dark in the caves that the lights themselves are not really going to help you. In fact, I actually ended up not using the flares most of the time because I felt like overall they made things more difficult, not less difficult. But as you proceed forward in the caves, you will eventually start to encounter some very spooky critters. And when I say spooky critters, I mean like two-headed monsters, like slinky people. I don't even know what to call them. I think they just call them slinky people. And just for the sake of showing you what it's like to get absolutely dominated by a bunch of demons, I'm going to bring you in here and get dominated by a bunch of demons. But I'm not going to go down without a fight. So let's throw some grenades, shall we? It's so dark down here. And there's so many demons. Oh my god, there's so many demons. Get from me. Oh, I'm out of arrows. Let's switch to the shoddy bow body, boys. It's a shoddy bow body coming with the hottie, and we got the shoddy. Oh man, they are some creepy little things too. They run all over the place and like bounce off the damn walls and shoddy bow body. And these are the worst ones right here. Hate these guys. Now, this brings me to the armor system, and I would like to talk about the armor system. But before I talk about the armor system, I want to show you the strangest thing about the armor system, and that is this. Yeah, that thing that I just cut off of that monster is a piece of armor. And these demons, or whatever they are, have a piece of armor on them that you can grab off of them always. So every time you kill one of these guys, there's one piece of armor that you can grab from them. Now, how does the armor system work in this game? Well, basically what happens is you craft or collect pieces of armor, and the pieces of armor essentially act as a defense against a hit. Upon receiving a certain amount of damage, the armor disintegrates or falls apart or whatever you want to call it. Think about it like almost like ceramic plates inside of a like like an armored vest or something. And once the ceramic plate shatters, it's no longer any good, so it needs to be replaced. That's pretty much how this works. So if I want to put on another piece of armor, well, I click on it, and all of a sudden now you can see that it's now on me. The armor is now like filling my character. And it makes me look kind of grody, this armor. So as you go forward and you start fighting more and more of these monsters, and they hit you, you have a certain number of hits before the armor disintegrates. So to give you guys an idea, since this is just a review, I'm going to take you in here and I'm going to let you, watch my character get beat up, and how quickly the armor disintegrates away from the character. So here we go. We have a big baddie right here. And as you can see, he hit me once and I lost 1 armor. Hit me again. I lost 2, 3, and then he lost 2 armor that time. My tech armor is the highest armor, so he might not be able to take that out in 1 swing. It looks like 2 swings per tech armor. And 1 swing per creepy. And then once my armor is completely gone, then I start to take damage to my health. And this is when I die. Now, this is also something that I want to show you guys as death, because when you die in this game, a lot of the times, not all of the times, because sometimes when you die it is permanent, but a lot of the times when you die in this game, there is another horror aspect added in, which is that you have been captured. And usually you end up get to keep your knife, so you get to cut your way out. However, you don't have any of your tools with you. You have to go find your bag. Sometimes your bag is sitting right nearby, sometimes it's a little bit further, but usually it will be highlighted by the arrow. You don't have an inventory, you only have a knife at this particular point, and your health is really low. If you die a second time after this, you will lose everything. So you will die completely. Everything that you had was in the bag, though, so it is nice that you do not lose anything. And I'm not going to actually save this because I don't want to like have all my armor get destroyed. That's just silly. Now, speaking of which, not saving things. For the most part, when you kill monsters, they stay dead. However, if you save and quit and reload the game completely, so if you reload from a earlier save file, we will in fact put all the monsters back. What haven't we talked about yet? The story. So the story is actually rather interesting, and it still seems to be under development. I have beaten the game as it is right now, and the story pretty much just goes over the fact that you are, of course, a soldier who is on his way to rescue the Puftons, basically, do you find them? Do you not find them? I'm not really going to spoil anything. But one of the major goals is to get off the island. And you can actually get off the island at the end of the game if you are successful in everything. And you can also choose to stay and fight the demons. So that's pretty cool. I was actually really intrigued with the whole story. Going into the caves, learning about stuff, picking up the various news articles. Like as you go through the game, you will find all these little news articles that you can pick up. And I don't know where they are in my inventory, but you can like read emails, little like private notes between people. You eventually have to collect the key cards and all sorts of other things, which will help you access new areas and which you will learn more parts of the story. And I can only assume that because this is early access, they're probably going to be adding in even more story as the game goes along. I think that's pretty much it for this game. I do feel like this game just has amazing potential, and I have gotten kind of like addicted to it. I would honestly love to build myself an amazing fort, and it would take some time. It would take some time to build a really amazing fort, and I'm not exactly sure like how long it would take me. With Kevin's help, getting logs and utilizing various tools like the zip line tool, which honestly, between the glider and the rope gun, like there are some like almost infinite possibilities as far as things to do. And if you haven't seen, I don't know if I've showed you the zip line gun yet, so I feel like I probably should. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the zip line right here, and then I'm going to attach the zip line to, I don't know, like say this tree. And you can take the zip line up, and not only can you take the zip line up, you can take the zip line down, of course, obviously too. But the most interesting thing is that you can send things up the zip line, which is probably the coolest part of the zip line. So let me grab my chainsaw here, which you're not going to have when you start out the game. This is something you have to earn. You can grab things like logs, and you can send them straight up the zip line. So when you're building a really tall structure like this, you can utilize techniques like this to give yourself better, speed in building. The other really cool thing that I've noticed is that if a log happens to fall in the holder, it automatically fills the holder. So if you were to put a whole bunch of holders underneath of where the logs would fall, you could potentially fill, tons and tons of log holders in the process. Let me see if I can show you how this works, because we did have one fall off last time, so let's take a look. And of course it doesn't fall off. You dirty rat. I just see some almost infinite potential for this game, especially being that it's only early access. And I know I've said this before, but it just really strikes me as just an amazingly deep game that is only going to get deeper. And you know what? To send this review off, I know it's already been 27 minutes, but that's okay. To send this review off, we're going to go on another gliding trip, shall we? Let's, instead of going that way, let's glide that way, shall we? Now, if you do hit a tree, that's it. So keep that in mind. Occasionally, you will find survival boats or rafts in the water, like that one out there. Um, just be careful swimming out there because they're definitely 100% are sharks, and you'll see them plop out of the water and everything. Whether or not they can eat you or not, I have not confirmed. I don't want to confirm, actually. There's some really cool rivers and lakes all throughout the game as well. As you can see, this particular river is flowing toward the sea. But if you follow the river up, it will eventually lead you to a tributary or a lake. A very interesting ways to build games, and eventually those lead you up into the mountains where you have some pretty interesting stuff to look at. As you can see, I'm nearing the end of my glider journey. But I can always find another high surface to jump off of, and I'll be fine. There's some very pretty stuff to look at in this game. As you go and you walk around, you will find some just absolutely gorgeous scenery. And, depending on how powerful your computer is, you can make that even more gorgeous by pumping it up to 4K and adding things like DLSS and all sorts of other cool stuff. Now, with this particular area, as you can see, it just simply goes upward. And we haven't encountered a lot of cannibals yet, but they will come. They will. As you're traveling through the world, you will eventually come across some very interesting things, like structures that don't seem to belong, cannibal camps, caves, even freaking research laboratories and things like that. And as you can see, I don't know if you guys noticed, but my stamina is really kind of like cut down. And this is because I'm hungry and I'm thirsty. So if I eat, and I drink, you'll see that my maximum stamina continues to rise as my survival state is increased. So as I become more and more perfect as far as my survival state comes, I also gain more stamina. So you lose the ability to run very far and very fast. You're tired, you're hungry, you're slow, you're wet, you're cold. There's various things that will affect your stamina and how your stamina works. And if you want to bring that back up to full, you've got to eat. And here we go. Here's one of our cannibal camps. Let's go ahead and drop our glider over here. The cannibal camps are pretty killacious, and they love to come at you full force. So we're going to whip out the katana here. And I ain't going to take no prisoners. Now you do need stamina to attack, much the same way that it's in Skyrim. So keep that in mind. Dang, we got a baby attack and a cannibal attack at the same time. Who wants some next, huh? I got a katana. What, you got, a bone? As you can see, the demon babies don't have much love for the cannibals either. Now, the AI, which I feel like I need to talk about for for Sons of Forest, is actually quite interesting. The way that the cannibals work, they can often be intimidated, and they will stop to do things like eat their friends or drag things away. They don't always attack you. Sometimes they're too busy doing something else. Sometimes they get intimidated and they run away. Occasionally, I will end up shooting one, and then the other ones will just simply run away. Or sometimes the opposite happens. You shoot one and then everyone wants to attack you. They also mourn for their dead, which is quite interesting. It's not something that I ever expected from the cannibals. The females will often come and cry for their lost, husband or their lost, I don't know, boyfriend or whatever the hell you want to call it. And it's quite disconcerting, actually, when they start crying for their lost ones. But don't be fooled, because they will more often than not attack you very shortly thereafter. And definitely not something that you want to happen. As you can see, the glider just comes in super handy for getting around. Now, as for finding the glider, it's up in the mountains, in the snow peaks. You find it at one of the snow caves. Which one in particular, I can't really tell you right off the top of my head. Might make another video, a good video. Finding the snow glider. There's one of my little huts down there. I mean, as you can see, it's just a very beautiful game. There's a lot to explore. There's a lot to see. There's a lot to do. It's a very large map. I don't know exactly how many caves there are, and some of them are fully featured, fully fleshed out caves, where it takes you quite a long time to explore them. And others are just kind of like loot caves. You go in, you loot some stuff, and you leave. But so far, I think I've found about like 15 or 16 caves. Like various spread out all over the place. There's definitely like 4 or 5 main ones, and then there's a bunch of like little ones that don't really have like a whole lot of purpose, so much as they just simply seem to be there for loot. Although oftentimes they will have things around them. There are also things buried in the game as well, which is pretty darn cool. And as you play and explore and have fun, I mean, you're just going to come across more and more stuff. Of course, the stuff that's buried requires a shovel, and you're not going to have the shovel until a lot later. So that's unfortunate, because, yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff that's buried. As you can see, there's some pretty sheer rock faces on some of these. Some of the areas are very high. Very, very tall areas that you're going to have to like go around to get to. It's not going to be easy to reach some of these higher areas. And honestly, quite a large amount of this map is actually very tall. So if you do end up gliding off of one of these very tall zones, you're going to be able to get really far. In fact, when you find the glider, and that's one of the coolest things about the glider, in my opinion, is that when you find it on top of the mountain. So you've got to go all the way up the mountain to get to the glider to begin with. And when you glide down, it's glorious. It's absolutely glorious. It is a very, very, very fun trip down the mountain. In fact, like this mountain right here, if I were to climb up to the top of this mountain and jump off, I could get really far. You can pretty much like circumnavigate the entire island by using the glider, which is just really freaking cool. My only regret is that, well, you have to carry the glider everywhere. I think it's a very nice offset to its, I hate to say this, but power level. It's a very nice offset to its power level, because the glider really is just so frickin' powerful. The distance that you can gain from this, the sheer explorative powers that the glider offers you is amazing. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe in one of the patches later, you can just, they've nerf it a little bit. I don't know. Maybe they'll decrease the overall distance, or who knows. But as you can see, I'm basically steadily going toward the cliff edge. So I'm just gonna jump back off the cliff. Like it doesn't it's not really that hard to use this glider. You just find a nice high place and you just jump off. Like, oh look, here's a cliff. Look at this beautiful cliff right here. Just gonna jump off the cliff and just gonna have fun. Oh Lord. So sometimes this happens. And what happened is my foot touched the ground again before I fully left the doojank. So I ended up in a position where, death. And it's a little quirky to use sometimes. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my review of Sons of the Forest. I know it was 40 minutes long, but I wanted to take you on a little tour of the game. And this is one of the death scenes where you end up in the water. Maybe we can get eaten by a shark for the end of this review. That would be great. Usually there's a shark around here somewhere. Lurking in the waters. Lurking in the water. No, that's just a fish. Where you at, Mr. Shark? See, now the shark's going to make a liar out of me. Get eaten by a shark, they say. It's easy, they say. It's easy to get eaten by a shark, they say. Says the person that's never been eaten by a shark. Honestly, the only places that I've seen the sharks have been the rafts. So if you ever swim for one of the emergency rafts, that's, I guess, the... Oh, okay, never mind. There he is. What's up, buddy? He bit me, too, you little jerk face. He bit me and ran. Mr. Shark. Mr. Shark? Where you at, Mr. Shark? He's going to eat me or no? Mr. Shark. Why are you so shy? Why are you the shyest shark that ever sharked? You're so shy. Come back and eat me. This shark does not want to eat me. I don't know why. Am I not tasty? Am I not tasty? Am I just disgusting? Am I a disgusting, just non-eatable person? How dare that shark judge me so harshly? Well, hey, that's the first time we got bitten by a shark. I mean, he actually did bite us too. Little freaking jerk. He took off like quite a bit of my armor too. I have no idea where my freaking glider is. Alright, guys and gals, it's been fun. As always, thanks for watching, and keep watching.